Is no restart.
Big move in Bitcoin then, in contrast to all the notes I wrote pre-show, which were telling me that this was going to put Bitcoin under pressure.
The narrative that perhaps this launch of these political meme coins will sap flows from Bitcoin is showing us that it's really not the case this morning. If anything, it's just accelerated the momentum and the excitement around cryptocurrency under another Trump administration.
Hi, Dewald. What is all this FOMO about? Should I buy Bitcoin now?
Are you smoking your socks? You should rather watch my show. You should rather watch my show.
All right, legends, welcome to another live stream here on a Monday. I was here yesterday, did a lazy Sunday live stream, pointed out some levels of interest. We will go through those levels again today. More specifically, I think we will take some time to go through a couple of altcoins. Are they ready? Are they ready to get some momentum to the upside? Are we going to now just start getting an unexpected, maybe a mini altcoin season here to the upside? I do see some altcoins that are showing strength, but there's a lot of them that shows potential for one more low, right? Like I highlighted yesterday. But is the market potentially going to front run that low and give us nice little momentum here to the upside? So we will go and look at some of our favorite altcoins. I have analyzed a couple of them this morning already. I will take some altcoin requests. And right, legends, we will do some together. We will look at Bitcoin, we will look at liquidity, and that most important level that I'm currently watching here on the price of Bitcoin as we are getting the momentum here to the upside. Right, legends, remember to smash up that like button, hit subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, because this is where we educate. Well, I educate, right? Share with you everything that I've learned throughout my trading journey so far. Okay, right, legends. I will say hi to the beautiful community in a moment. Link, please. Yes, Link is on the list. Shiba Inu, right? You guys have all your favorite altcoins. Legends, I did some research this morning, and there are 33 million altcoins. 33 million altcoins. That is absolutely insane, right? And some people are speculating that is the reason why we're not seeing that phenomenal altcoin pops from some of our favorite altcoins to the upside, because money is being diluted. Okay, in the past, you can just imagine, in the past, if you had 1,000 altcoins and you have altcoin season, all the money only goes into the 1,000 altcoins. Now when you have 33 million altcoins, because today in 2025, it is extremely easy to create a meme coin. There's software available everywhere. You can literally spend a couple of hours and create your own little meme coin, launch it. It has no proper tokenomics. It has no fundamentals behind it. And so the market is extremely bloated at the moment. So for money to flow into altcoins, right, it now has to dilute itself. And I think that's why we're not seeing that crazy price action. And that's why, for me as a technical trader, I'm being very, very selective about the altcoins in my altcoin portfolio. I want an altcoin with good fundamentals. The technicals needs to be sound. Okay, I am not a gambler, right? If you want to go and partake in the meme coin trades, shorts, longs to the upside, that's gambling, legends, at the end of the day, right? You can exercise good risk management, but you are speculating on an altcoin or a meme coin that's going to do thousands of percents to either the up or to the downside. And for me, you know, I just like to focus on altcoins that has a history, a track record, good fundamentals, where things are more guaranteed, okay, from a fundamental perspective in terms of the project going bust or a rug pull, whatever the case might be. Nothing is ever 100% guaranteed, but I'm looking for something that is a little bit more guaranteed. Okay, right, legends, I know you guys are throwing me with all your altcoin requests already, but first, let's focus on Bitcoin, and then we will go and have a look at some altcoins. I will say hi to the beautiful community in a moment, but let's do some technical analysis. Say breaking out, Dewald. Yes, there's lots of, I saw this morning when I was running through many altcoins, there are many that's breaking out at the moment. So if you're telling me that your altcoin is popping and it's breaking out, there are thousands that are breaking out at the moment. Okay, so you need to pick the one that you want to trade and apply good risk management and know where to take profits. It's that simple at the end of the day. Okay, cool, legends. Let's focus here on Bitcoin. First thing, okay, is when I take a fib, okay, let's open up my today folder. This is what I want to discuss today. Okay, it looks quite messy, but there is some areas of confluence that I would like to discuss. So the first thing I want to highlight is the bigger fib retracement. And this is something that I focused on yesterday as well. So from a larger time frame perspective, legends, the larger the time frame, the more important these fib retracement and fib extension levels become. Okay, so when you take a fib from the high that we've created, the all-time high, to the low that we've now created, okay, price is currently grinding here to the upside. But we have to acknowledge that the market structure is still bearish. Believe it or not, the market structure is still bearish. We are still making lower highs, lower high, local market structure. Okay, I'm not talking about macro market structure. Local market structure here on the 4-hour, 1-hour time frame is still bearish. We are still making lower lows and lower highs. Okay, no denying that fact. So there is still a chance for Bitcoin to reject, and fall to the downside, to even come and claim the low, and you basically are still making lower highs and lower lows. So we have to acknowledge the fact that, right, it's not promising just as yet. The only time that it will look like it's starting to change around is once you take this high. Once you take this high properly, not just tap it, okay? If price does this and it rejects, it's a double top. That's a bearish sign. It needs to smash the level properly and create a proper higher high. Then you can speculate, okay, maybe we're going to create a higher low and rock and roll back to the upside. But you need to start changing market structure. Okay, before we can just say the low is in. You can't say the low is in just as yet. We are still in a bearish downtrend. Okay, so the most important level, did I delete that entire folder? Let me just undo all of this. Sorry, legends, I think I deleted my folder. There we go. Right, so the most important target that I'm watching now for potential rejection as price is grinding here to the upside is the 0.382. Okay, usually when on the macro time or on the larger time frame, when you have a clear high and you have a clear low, you can see between this low, okay, the 0.382 has not been tapped. Because some people will tell me, Dewald, it has been tapped. Even the 618 has been tapped. The 0.8 has been tapped. No, you have to take it from this low. These fib levels have not been tapped. Okay, well, these fib levels have not been tapped since we created this low. Right, so once you created the structure here to the downside, this is now my first area of interest. The most important level that I'm keeping an eye on right now. And what makes this level also a little bit more significant is that when you zoom into this structure and you do some trend-based fib pulls from the low to the high to the low, there's some levels that also corresponds with the 382. also when you do some fib pulls from this low to the high to the low, there's many fib pulls that I've done over here, and they all basically align with the 0.382 and the 50% to the upside. So let's open up my folder and let's go through them one by one. So these are the two important boxes in a nutshell, legends. These are the two most important zones that I'm currently watching to see that, well, are we going to show strength or a rejection to the downside? Right. And then I have this one. Okay, let's zoom into this price action. And now you can see this is where the planets starts aligning. Okay, you will see I have a fib pool over here. Right, let me just unlock it, where I took a fib pool from the low to the high to the low. Okay, so I'm measuring this wave to see, well, where can this wave potentially, almost sneezed there, potentially end up. Okay. And I might just have to drag the levels ever so slightly so that we can see them properly. Okay, so let me drag them ever so slightly to the left. Just make sure that I have them. Right, so together with the 0.382, we have a 786 trend-based fib extension. It is not a common target, but I have seen during this range that we formed over here, this level from a trend-based fib perspective has been very nicely respected. Okay, so you have the 0.786, you have the 382. Now, there's another one that I'm currently watching. Okay, and it is this small little one over here is basically, okay, let me select it and show everyone. It's basically, I'm using this wave to see where this wave can go, a three-wave structure. Okay, I want to see, well, if I take a trend-based fib from this low to the high to the low, where can this wave end up at? Okay, well, right, you have the 0.618, which just got smashed now. You have the 0.618, no reaction, no trade. Okay, you have the 786 slightly above, right? So there could be a little bit of a front running scenario over here, but we have a level over there, but it's standing all by its lonesome there in the middle of nowhere. And then you have the 1-to-1 extension, which is far more common. Okay, a 1-to-1 extension, which basically means this wave and this wave is the same length from a price action perspective. So you now have the 1-to-1 extension, the 0.382 and the 786 in perfect confluence with each other. If price overshoots this box, I will be paying attention to the 1.236 because I know that the 1.236 is a very common target as well. So maybe, it's not a beautiful tap and go. It pierces the level and then it finds weakness to the downside. But I can get an entry over there where I don't have to have a stop here and an entry over here. So that's a bigger stop loss for me. So I will treat this 1.236 level as a potential shorting area of interest. And those are basically the levels in the short term. Price is currently pumping here to the upside. No real significant volume kicking in at the moment. Okay, RSIs are topping out. For those of you that do like to look at RSIs here on the 4 hour is topping out. So it does look like it needs to find a place to cool down and reject. It needs to reject. It needs to reset the RSIs. Right, if you are a RSI trader, it's just something interesting that I always sometimes look at, but I don't use it as part of my trading strategy because my trading strategy is I look for price reaction at these levels. Okay, so legends, in a nutshell, okay, if I clean up the chart and I make it nice and pretty and sexy, those are the two zones that I'm watching for potential rejection. Okay, and I'm not saying this is going to happen or this is going to happen. All I'm saying is that could be a nice little trade to the downside when you start hitting support again. This is now obvious support. Can you see beautiful support that is formed over here? If you get a successful rejection in this zone, there's a chance that it could reject, bounce on support and continue. Maybe reject again, bounce on support and continue. So it's climbing the stairs to the upside. It's climbing the stairs. It's climbing the stairs. And I'm looking to take advantage of that little move. I'm looking to take advantage of that little move because locally on the 15-minute and the smaller time frame, momentum is to the upside. We are making higher highs and higher lows. So more locally, it's still in your best interest to look for longs. On the larger time frame, okay, you could still create a lower high, and there is a chance. There's always a chance. You have to consider the larger time frame structure. There's a chance that you could reject and take the low. It's always on the cards because you are still creating lower highs. So there's a chance if you reject here that you could take the low to create another lower low. Okay. But for me as a day trader, my rule is when I short resistance, I have to take profits when I hit support. So that could potentially be a 60-70% profit TP for me, and I leave some of the position open. If I see strength and prices continuing here to the upside, there's bullish CVD building up, right? I might just close the position. So that's basically what I'm looking at here on the price of Bitcoin. Okay, does have chance of BTC dropping? What does have chance of BTC? Vikash, why are you flooding? Right, I'm not sure, Vikash, why you have to be so spammy over here, right? You only have to post your comment once because I'm going to remove these things. Okay. Right, I see Junior, Mr. Mod, thanks for cleaning up the comments over here. You don't have to spam the comments and write the same comment 1,000 times, okay, to try and grab my attention. You're just spamming the comment section over here, right? So you got my attention, but I will go through some comments in a moment. Right, thanks, Mr. SGS Junior. Mods in the house are managing the comments. And right, legends, now. Those are the most important levels that I'm watching here to the upside, okay? There's always those what-if scenarios, okay? So, Dewald, what if we don't go to the box and we just fall down, right? Well, that would basically be a swing failure pattern from the high. So, let's go here onto the 1 hour time frame. Okay, so will we get the rejection? We have not claimed that high properly. There could be a potential scalp in here where you fall down, you find support, and you continue to the upside. A swing failure pattern from the high is always a level that we look at from a swing failure perspective. Okay. A little bit further up is that 0.786 level, and it's this little trend base fib. Okay, so if we are going to get a little bit of a front run, so this one. Okay, what if we don't get here? Dewald, what if we don't tap your box and we just fall down? Pay attention to the 786. Okay, pay attention to the 786. I'm not sure if I would like to consider a swing failure from the high because I like a level to get hit. I would rather wait for this because then I have a better entry with risk management. Okay, and then what I will do is from a profit taking perspective, you take a fib from this low to whichever that high creates if we do see the weakness, and then you know these Fibonacci 0.382, 50%, 618, great profit taking areas because the structure can remain bullish. It gets the bounce and it continues to the upside, and you can take advantage of that move. Okay. Right, but legends, I'm just a type of trader. I like a level to get hit before I make a trading decision. Okay, if this happens, I'm most probably going to miss the trade. I'll wait for the next trading opportunity. Okay, maybe it will form a nice little trend, 3-wave structure, it breaks out, I will enter over there for another long back to the upside, right? But if my levels does not get hit, I very seldom enter a trade, and I do sometimes miss trades. But when I get the trade, okay, because my level got hit, it's a higher probable trade for me. Okay, and the trend-based FIB levels are the ones during this entire structure that got the most respected. There was weekly levels, there was daily levels, there was weekly point of controls, there was Fibonacci levels, all got front run every single time during this entire structure. But the levels that did not get front run was the trend-based FIB extensions. They did not get front run. Okay, so again, you might front run this level, and that's why I'm paying attention to that one. Okay. Right, legends, those are basically the levels to the upside that I'm looking for a potential rejection back to the downside. We have to acknowledge that the trend locally is up, and the trend is your friend until the very end. So from a scalping and from a day trading perspective, this is the trend that needs to hold here to the upside. Okay, this one actually looks better from here. Oh yeah, this looks way better, way better. Okay, as long as this trend is respected, we could still expect momentum to the upside. So if we get a rejection, I wouldn't be surprised for price to bounce and continue to the upside. You know, you're still forming higher lows and higher highs with the local structure over here. Okay, so there's a difference between the local structure and the larger time frame structure. On the daily time frame, on the weekly time frame, we're still in bull trend. Okay, higher highs, higher lows. On the 4 hour, we're making lower highs, lower lows. On the 15-minute, 1 hour time frame, the local structure is bullish. So depending on which time frame you are trading, you will have a different plan. Okay. Right, legends, let me go through some comments, say hi to the community, and see what is cooking over here. Right, let's go. Vikash does have any chance of BTC dropping down? Does have any chance of okay, so yeah, right. Yes, there's always a chance of BTC dropping down, and I've just highlighted the technical level for the highest rejection area. Okay, is this zone over here, together with a 0.382, together with a 0.786. And right, there is a lot of areas of confluence. There's also a liquidity pool over here, but I mean from a liquidity perspective, okay, let me just get the comment here out the way. There is a lot. Let me just switch myself around over here. Okay, let me put myself on the other side of the screen. There's a lot of liquidity to the upside, especially if you're here on the monthly time frame. There's massive liquidity to the upside. So who knows how high we're going to go before we get the rejection. There's not a clear liquidity pool that just pops out where you're like, okay, that area looks interesting. There's just liquidity everywhere to the upside. Okay, everywhere to the upside. The only clear liquidity pool to the downside is at $63,000. You know, that pops out like a sore thumb. Right, so is there a chance for momentum to still continue to the downside and take the low? Of course. Okay, you could reject here and take the low. There's definitely a possibility. There's also Elliot Wave scenarios that supports that that probability. Okay, so I just want to clean up the chart over here. Do this. Right. Let's go here onto the 4 hour time frame. Let me quickly run through the macro or the local scenarios over here. Okay. Let me put myself back on the left. Okay, there we go, on the right. Okay. So before I go, let me go through some more comments and then we can go and tackle that scenario. If we close an hourly candle where we are now, would it not be considered as a double top 1 hour time frame? Yes, definitely, Rudy, but I want that 786 level to be tapped. Okay, you could definitely consider a swing failure from the highs. It is a level that we are always watching from a rejection perspective. You make a high, you literally front run it over there. Okay, but it's definitely an area. But look at this one. Okay, you make a high, you failed to close any bodies above that level, and you got the rejection to the downside. So highs, little highs like this, is always a great area to pay attention to. Okay. I think more locally, if you take a FIP, okay, we are currently at the golden pocket, but we have tapped that level already. So it does become weaker. You can see when you take a FIP from this little pivot to the low, okay, it's already tapped the golden pocket. So it does make the golden pocket FIP area a little bit weaker and lowers the probabilities for a nice rejection like we got here. Golden pocket, you got the rejection to the downside. So perhaps the next area is the 786. Okay, but yes, just It's not a high probable trade for me. Okay, so if my trading rule states that if it's not a high probable trade, I will then enter with 0.05% of my capital. So if I see the price action that I like from a rejection perspective, I could still entertain the trade, but I will use less capital to trade that position with. Okay, the level has already been tapped. Can it reject? Yes. Okay, definitely it can reject. I just want to see what CVD is doing over here. Oh, CVD is absolutely bullish. It's just continuing bullish momentum. Can you guys see this? Let me refresh it. As price is grinding to the upside, look at yellow. Price is just rocketing here to the upside and yellow is collapsing. There are so many people looking to short this upwards momentum. Retail traders are shorting like crazy over here, and you can see it. That's shorting. Retail is shorting the market. Crazy at the moment, okay? And I don't want to trade with retail. As long as price is grinding to the upside and we are making bully CVD, I'm not interested in shorts, okay? Well, yeah, we actually did claim the high, right? So on my Binance chart, we didn't claim the high, but yeah, we actually did claim the high. Look at where the line is that runs across my screen. We did actually claim that high, but we are still building up local bullish CVD on yellow. Right, so it looks like it still wants to continue momentum to the upside. Right, legends, remember if you'd like to come and trade with me, okay, link is always down in the description where you get the biggest sign-up bonuses and lowest trading fees by using the links down in the description. Weeks, 50% cash back. They also have that competition running at the moment. I had some questions around the competition. By selecting the link down in the description, you will automatically form part of the Bitcoin Census team. Okay, you will trade with myself, Andy, and the coaches inside of the Legends to Pro community. And right, the competition starts in 3 days from now. Okay, Bluffin, all you need is an email and a password, and they have that amazing deal that's running for money that you deposit in your features account. You will get 10% cash back. Okay, and this is also for slightly larger traders, larger portfolio traders. If you deposit $25,000, you automatically get upgraded to VIP 1. $50,000, you automatically get upgraded to VIP 2, and it comes with a whole array of perks and benefits. From a VIP perspective. Okay, you can go and read the benefits for these VIP. You know, get lower trading fees, you qualify for certain things and rewards. Right, and then I've got Femix Legends, also $2,000 position airdrop by signing up with a link down in the description, and all you need is an email and a password to use these exchanges. If you'd like to come and join our Legends community, here is the link also down in the description. Right, Legends, I think that's basically the levels that I am watching here on the price of Bitcoin, keeping it very simple, very straightforward. And right, which exchange is yellow? Bybit. Bybit is yellow. Okay. Right. Can you guide us on where to check market cap and how far price can go in coin market cap for alts? Yes, we can go and have a look at that. Yesterday during my live stream, someone did propose a tool that there's a tool that you can use to say that, well, my coin is $2, okay, that I'm buying at the moment. If it needs to go to $5, what needs to, what is the market cap? It multiplies the market cap by 5, basically. Okay. And it will show you realistic targets for your potential altcoins. Because sometimes people think the cheaper the coin, the more the potential to the upside. It's not true. Everything is got to do with market cap. Everything's got to do with market cap. If you are buying a coin at $1 and it has a $500 billion market cap, okay, and you are saying it's going to go to $100, it's not possible. It's not possible. I can tell you it's not possible. It means that it needs to flip Bitcoin and go higher, right? It's not possible. So don't be fooled by the price of a coin. It's all got to do with market cap. Right, cool, Legends. Let me quickly just wrap this up. There's still a couple of scenarios that I'm watching here at the moment. from an Elliot Wave perspective, okay, I'm not going to spend too much time. There's still the contracting diagonal that could play out, and I do have the parallel channel because if this momentum continues to the upside and it taps the top of the trend, the scenario is invalidated. It's over. Okay, as long as price does not tap $91,000, the scenario is still valid. And what this scenario basically says is that as long as you're forming a contracting move over here, you can see the contracting move. You connect 1 and 3. That's your trend. You connect these to each other. You could still form that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the downside where you take the low, right? 4 now needs to move there. Okay. It would be nice to actually invalidate the scenario, right? To tap the top, $91,000, because then the scenario is invalidated. But until then, the scenario still is on the cards. Okay, we still have the WXY scenario. The question is, this scenario is still the primary scenario. This is still the scenario that carries the highest probability. Okay? The question is, where is X going to end? Is X going to end at $100,000? Is it going to form a triangle, which we could potentially reject? And this triangle actually aligns with the 0.382 level. Okay, those little boxes that I've highlighted, these, wait, let me do this. Let me just put those 2 boxes on. This one, that little box, okay, aligns with the top of the triangle, where we could potentially be forming, okay, an A, B, C, D, E, and then we go down for the Y wave. And then the X can be completed over here. Okay? Or you break out of the triangle, you invalidate that contracting diagonal as well, you break out, make the world bullish, and then X ends over there. And there is still a chance, even if you claim the high at $94,000, $95,000, if you claim this high, okay, and you reject, you create a double top, you could still come and claim the low. Right, so unfortunately, I am the bearer of bad news. This scenario still carries high probability. Okay, and it's all got to do with time. This is why the scenario carries high probability. It has got to do with time. Okay, so if you take a time fib from the low to the high, okay, this low was made before the minimum target. This low. So if this is the impulse and this is the correction, it's too soon from a timing perspective. Some people then send me messages to say that, well, what if this is not the low? Okay, this is something that I discussed yesterday as well. Dewald, this is not the low. This is part of a triangle for the previous corrective structure. This is the low. Well, you sit with the same problem. Okay, because we checked that out yesterday. You take a time fib from this low to the high. Now you sit with the same problem. That low was made just before the minimum target. So based on timing, okay, and timing is never an invalidation, but it does add weight to probabilities. From a timing perspective, it looks like it still needs one more low. At least one more low, right, inside of the zone where it is supposed to make the low. Okay, so from a timing perspective, it doesn't look great, right? But I have seen on the smaller time frames that timing does get disrespected. But on the higher time frame, like the 8-hour, 12-hour time frames, 4-hour, even 1-hour time frame, it's very seldom that I see time being disrespected, especially the minimum target of the 0.382. Right, cool, legends. From a simplicity perspective, okay, I mean, if I switch on the trends from a simplicity perspective, okay, here we go. I've been tracking this momentum. I told everyone, okay, let's go to the 4-hour time frame. This was a trend. Let me take that one out. This was a trend that I highlighted last week. Said, wait for the break of this trend. We broke the trend. So there was a trade. Risk management, your stop loss goes below the low, you're targeting the high. Not sure if anyone took that trade, right? Purely from a trend line perspective. Now I'm tracking the momentum to the upside. As long as we do not lose this trend for momentum to the upside, we could continue. We just bounce and you bounce and you bounce and you continue momentum to the upside. Okay. Right. The next area of interest is the bigger trend that I'm watching over here. Okay. Where you're basically connecting the all-time high with these pivots and this little pivot over here. It's the thick one that I have over here. This is now the next area that I'm paying attention to. And when you take your fib, okay, like I've just highlighted from the high to the low, okay, where I've got my box, you could potentially have a fake out. Okay. You could come up, reject, fail to break the trend, fail to get acceptance back above the 0.382. So can you guys now see why I am keeping an eye on this level? It has a lot of confluence going for it. Okay. So definitely a potential shorting opportunity, and it could, okay, I will definitely, when I hit support, if I had to enter this trade, I would most likely take most of my profits over there. Okay, 60-70% of my profits. It does have the potential to claim the low, and that's why I will leave some of the position open for lower levels. Okay, but I'm not just going to leave it and think that this is the outcome, because it could bounce. You're bouncing on the trend. You've got support. So you've got diagonal support. You've got horizontal support. It is a bouncing zone. That is why you have to take profits, because it could bounce and then break out. So you have a fake out and then the true breakout. How often have you seen that happen? Okay, you usually get a little bit of a fake out on a trend, and then it gets the rejection, and then the next one is the true breakout to the upside. How often have you seen that? Okay, like what happened here. Look, fake out. You get the retracement, you find support, then you break out. What if fake out, you find support, and then you break out? It's just something to keep in mind. So don't be that trader that is massively in profits and you are like, no, we're claiming the low, and you don't. Okay. Cool, legends. Now, okay. But all this manipulation on crypto markets seems strange. And tadas, and sometimes I feel that I was stupid that I not took profits. Yes, definitely. You know, you need to pay yourself. Quite frankly, I don't care if the market is manipulated. I often see comments of people, and I'm not saying it's you, tadas, at all, right? But I often see comments of people during my YouTube live stream saying that they don't trade because the market is manipulated. Well, I can still trade technical levels and I can still take profits when I hit support or resistance. I don't care if the market is manipulated. It's about applying your trading strategy, knowing why you are entering the trade, knowing where to put your stop loss, and knowing where to take profits. The problem with most traders is they haven't nailed the 3 W's. Why am I entering? Where's my stop loss? Where's my profit taking area? And then the market consistently stops them out, or they bleed out their accounts, and then they say it's because the market is manipulated that I'm not trading. No, it's because you don't know where to take profits. That's the problem. You don't know. Okay? Because this is a reality. You could get the rejection, bounce, and go back up. And now people will look at this and say the market is manipulated. Doesn't make sense to me. Technically, we bounced at support. Technically, we got a rejection where we were paying attention to. You had your stop loss. You knew why you were entering. You knew where you needed to take profits. So we can scratch some dollars off the market. Okay, high leverage means you are trading directly against whales, algorithms, and manipulation by people who know how to do it. Okay. Right. And then you lose money on a wick. Well, anyways, I'm not going to comment. Is it too late now to long say or wait for lower? I actually have say on my list. I want to go through say. Dewald, what do you think about bots? Bot trading? I have tried bot trading. Bot trading works well in... I don't know. I actually can't comment. The bot trading that I used to use in the past did not work for me. Okay, it's a little bit in profits, and then it starts breaking even. Then it bleeds out your account. Then it makes the money back. It's not a tool that I have been able to successfully use to consistently make profits regardless of market cycle. Okay, so I'm not a big fan of bot trading personally. Right, maybe you guys have had success with bot trading, but I haven't had success with bot trading, and I've tried many bots. Okay, I think if bots were so successful, everyone would just do bot trading and be successful and profitable as traders. Okay. Right. Garisha, I will get to that if there's time, but I first want to, wrap up the BTC analysis, and then we can dive into some altcoins. Okay. Dewald, I love you. What's your OnlyFans account? Oh, God. You guys are hilarious. Okay, right, legends. Another thing, okay? Now we have to speculate, legends. Now we have to speculate. What if, okay, let's clean up the chart. Okay, we went through this scenario yesterday. What if the low is in? Okay, what if the low is in and it's not a WXY, it is finished. It is a WXY that finished over here, and there is a structural count. Okay, here we go. There is a count where the low could be in. The scenario does not carry high probability because from a timing perspective, it doesn't make sense for this to be the low. But if we are saying that the market is manipulated, we front run the weekly point of control here at the bottom. If I switch on my weekly point of controls, you can see this weekly point of control and the 1.236 exactly at the same level. I was waiting to long this zone. I was there. I had my alarm set and we didn't tap it. We front run the bloody zone. Okay, so some people might argue, well, the market makers are going to force you to buy in at higher prices. This was the low. We front run the zone because everyone was watching it, and we are going to continue the bull market to the upside. From a timing perspective, also doesn't really make sense, but the market is here to surprise us, and sometimes the low probability scenarios do play out. So this scenario carries 30% probability. Okay, more or less. Right? So if we have to entertain the scenario, there is a valid count. That you have an A, B, C in a W, you have a W, X, Y in an X, or an A, B, C in an X. Doesn't matter. It's a three-wave structure. It's a sideways consolidation. And now you have an A, B, C in Y. Okay, some people told me, Dewald, your B wave looks very funky wonky. No, it's a very valid B wave, because a B wave can end in a triangle where you have formed an A, B, C, D, E to complete your B wave. Very valid. You can have a B wave inside of a triangle. And now this was a C wave to the downside, which actually makes way more sense when you go and look at this structure over here. It makes way more sense, because I remember when we were trading over here, we were trying to figure out, is this a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? There were some things wrong with the structure, but when you count the structure as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the levels actually balance way better, counting it from this little pivot over here, where this was part of a triangle. So there is some things that looks really good to speculate on this being a low. We have to just consider that there is a lower probability for the scenario, because from a timing perspective, it's very strange that we made the low over here. Okay. Also, this structure that's forming over here is a very difficult structure to count from a bullish perspective. But nonetheless, we have to give the scenario the benefit of the doubt. What if the low is in? Altcoins are popping at the moment. And even from an altcoin perspective, most of the altcoins that I've been analyzing looks like it needs to make one more low. Most of them, one more low. Okay? You want Bitcoin to also then make one more low. to drag the alts with it, to go and set in that one more low. But what if the market is going to force us to buy into higher prices? Altcoins are breaking trends to the upside. What if we don't get that one more low? Or, worst case scenario, what if Bitcoin makes one more low? Dominance drops here to the downside, okay? And the altcoins makes a higher low. I have seen that happen many times, okay? What if dominance does this? It drops like a rocket to the downside. Bitcoin makes a lower low, and the altcoins like Sui, for example, what if they do this on most of the altcoins? What if they start popping, okay? And when Bitcoin makes a lower low, they make a higher low, and then they continue, and that becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't know, right? But we can trade with good risk management, and this is why I started nibbling at some altcoins. Right, so in that breath, legends, let's go and look at a couple of altcoins. Okay, so first on the list, and I can show you guys now, here on my list. Let me just open this up. Oh wait, my watch says I need to stand up and do some stretches, so let me wave my hands in the air. Right, so legends, I have gone through some altcoins, all the ones in blue. So, okay, let me do this. All the altcoins, let me put my face here on the other side. I just want to show you guys what I started working on this morning. Okay, all the altcoins here in blue is the ones that I've already analyzed, is the ones that looks good from a technical perspective. And as I'm going through them, I might throw some of them and not mark them at all. They just look really bad from a technical perspective. You have to remember that a rising tide will raise all ships. It is very likely that if dominance drops like this to the downside, that every single altcoin is going to pop. Very likely, because that happened during the previous altcoin seasons, and it also happened during this drop. It also happened during these drops, all these small little dumps to the downside. You have most of the altcoins getting upwards momentum. The question is, which one is going to give you the highest returns? And the ones that I'm focusing on is the ones from a technical perspective looks great, where they potentially building up an explosive wave, or building up, and preparing for an explosive wave to the upside. Okay. Right. So the ones here in blue is the ones that I've analyzed so far that looks good from a technical perspective. And they have clear invalidations, but they have a chance. And yes, I know Rune is there on the list. Okay. Right. Let me switch myself back to this side. Let's go through Sui. I know a lot of people are very interested in Sui. So I'm here on the 3-day chart. So just doing some high time frame analysis. And the question I'm asking myself, should I be adding to my spot bags? Or should I open up a fresh spot bag for a coin that I didn't have in my spot bag? Should I maybe sell this token and buy another token? These are some of the very important questions that I'm asking myself. Legends, it is very rare, and I'm telling you guys now, it is very rare to catch the tops for an ultimate short. It's very rare to catch the bottoms. Very rare to have caught this top. And I'm telling you guys now, very rare that you are catching the bottom, because it could do this. But this is the zone that is very interesting for me. So this is a zone where I start accumulating. If it, so the bear, and I've just highlighted the bearish case scenario here on say as well. There is a possibility for say to start breaking up and make a higher low for continuation. Definitely. And this is why I'm starting to accumulate. When you take a fib from the low to the high, we have tapped the 0.618. It's currently finding support at a very well respected Fibonacci level. I do love these pivots. And this is why I'm saying most of the altcoins are showing me one more low. But what if, okay, it bounces and I don't get the one more low? So I can either sit on my hands and wait for market structure to start changing and then I buy in at the retracement, which is also a strategy. You wait, you sit on your hands for the next couple of weeks and months, because that's how long this is going to take to play out. You wait for the correction, and that is where you buy. Or you start accumulating right now. Please, guys, this is not financial advice. I'm telling you guys what I am doing over here, because I'm very well aware that we could still tap the 786. Very, very, very well aware. So for me, this is the zone where I am interested from a spot perspective. No swing trades, no high leverage 10x positions, because I mean, this little dumpy here to the downside, if say had to fall and it comes to tap the 786, that's a 34% stop loss, okay, or retracement. If you have a 10x position, even a 5x position, your account is liquidated. Okay, this is a spot, guys. This is spot. This is a zone where I'm interested in. This is the zone. I am interested in that zone. Okay, and I know some of you might be asking yourself, Dewald, why on earth do you have this highlighted as a fourth wave? Because we tapped the 0.618. Well, this is where things become interesting. If you go to the log scale, we've only tapped the 0.382. Okay, and this box has confluence with a 50% Fibonacci. I know if you form a 1, 2, 3, 4, the 0.382 and the 50% is your maximum targets for your fourth wave. So there's a chance that it can bounce because it has tapped the minimum requirement for a fourth wave, but it can still go down to the 50%, which ironically aligns with the 786 on the regular scale. So it still has an intact bullish structure to go and still create a final fifth wave to the upside, and my target is $10. Okay, so these are some of the tokens that I love to analyze and add to my spot bags because the structures are still intact. It's still respecting the Fibonacci's. It hasn't been invalidated. Obviously, if this fall, okay, let me just clean up the chart over here. This is the zone where I'm interested, okay, and it's spot bags. This is the zone. What if it invalidates the fourth wave, okay? Well, it actually becomes more bullish, believe it or not, because you could even come and claim the 786, because then, okay, I'm not just expecting that, I'm expecting much higher. The deeper the retracement, I actually want it to invalidate the fourth wave, because this will be my maximum target, because this could create a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then it creates an explosive third wave to the upside. Okay, so it's still, and this is what I'm saying, the structure is still bullish up until you invalidate it by, you already start reducing the probabilities when you tap the 0.88, but you will only invalidate scenario once you take the low. So there's a lot of breathing room. It has so much breathing room before it starts invalidating the bullish structure. Whether it's a 5 or whether it's a 3, there's a lot that needs to happen. And I can tell you guys now, this could also be a 112 from this point. You could have a 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm planning to take profits there because I realized that it can be a fifth wave, but it could also be a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then it just goes to $20. And then people are like, Dewald, but you said, okay, $10. Then I'm like, well, it turned out to be a 112. I didn't know, but I knew where to take profits, okay, where to start paying myself, because it could also reject in a three-wave structure back to the downside after it's made the fifth wave. Okay, right, so SUI looks great from a technical perspective. And SUI can be traded on Weeks, Femix, and Bluffin. Links down in the description, where you qualify for the biggest sign-up bonuses and lowest trading fees. Right. AR, please. I will go through as many as I possibly can here on the live stream. How many? Okay, we're almost an hour, so I can maybe spend another hour here doing some altcoin requests. Okay, cool. Guys, I'm going to go through the altcoins that I've already prepared, and I can even go through this entire list. Okay, there's more than likely that this entire list that I have over here includes a couple of the altcoins that you are looking at. AR is in this list. GRT, Tara, Myro, Moon River, Nakamoto, Fetch, Theta, Umbrella, Right, Rose, Fala Network, Flux, Injective Protocol, ILV, PRQ, KDA, Atom, Mina, NIA, Koti, VRA, DOT, XTZ, GMX, KSM, the list goes on, right? I've got everything in this list. Well, not everything, because there's 333 million, but I've got the ones that I think are a little bit more mainstream, where, you know, most people are aware of them. Okay, next on the list is AVAX. Ooh, AVAX. I think we've missed the AVAX train. AVAX looks really good, okay? From a simplicity perspective, without even going into Elliot Wave theory, right, you have bounced on the point of control of this entire range. This entire range, you have bounced on the point of control. It has broken trend. It's currently finding upwards momentum. The next area of resistance that I see on AVAX, I'm not sure if anyone got into AVAX. Okay, the next area of resistance is, right, resistance above. It could reject. Okay, that's your resistance box. But I do think that AVAX has a chance to come and tap this box, at least to come and tap this box before we see downwards momentum. So AVAX looks strong. It has broken trend. Okay, and what I would do if I missed the trade, if I missed the breakout, okay, it's a little bit too high for me to start accumulating from a spot perspective. I think there are other altcoins that look better. Is you go onto the smaller time frames and you look for a breakout. Okay, 15-minute. I mean, there's no breakout here, but I can see that there was a breakout that took place over here. If you've missed a breakout, please don't FOMO in. Do that. Right. Go and wait for a D-line strategy. There was another beautiful one over here. Look at that. Bullish pennant. You break out from a major trend. Yes, you guys know how often I see this. You break out from a major trend. You form a bullish pennant to the downside, and then that breakout is the one that rips to the upside. Okay, so if you miss the breakout, there's potentially another trade around the corner. Now you've missed this breakout, while there was another way to get in. What it's doing up there is no place for me to FOMO into a trade. There's no trading strategy that I can apply to that. Nada. Okay, you missed it, you missed it, you missed it. Now you sit on your hands. Can it still move up? Yes, it has a high chance of moving up, but it's the retracement that usually is the get back into the action point. So if at some point it starts slowing down, it is the retracement that is going to be very interesting, because it could form another opportunity to get in. Risk management, breakout, take profits by the highs. Okay, so it in essence becomes a day trading coin. Right, what else is here? Casper, Cubic. I'm 4.3 up on VRA, Say, Pyth, Fed, Flux, Venom. You guys are looking at a lot of altcoins here. I just want to see what you guys are looking at. Say, Pyth, Flux. Can you please do Render? Yes, Render is on the list. Let's get there. Right, Fetch. Let's go back to the daily time frame. Okay, I am specifically highlighting the ones that looks great. Okay, from a technical perspective. Okay, and I will tell you guys if it does not look great. Fetch, or not Fetch, VET, VeChain. Okay, the old VeChain, old school, we all know VeChain. I'm focusing on one that has lots of price action, lots of data. The technicals looks great, and here you can see VeChain is actually forming a big bullish pennant. Look at this bullish pennant that it's forming over here. So this breakout could be epic. It has not broken out yet. So VeChain looks interesting. It's not broken out yet. It has still got a higher high, a higher low compared to these lows. So there's a chance that this structure could accelerate here to the upside in a third wave. This could be a 1-2, 1-2. I'm not going to go too much into Elliot Wave theory, but the structure looks good. It has higher lows. So far, it has higher lows. Okay. So pay attention. Okay. You can always, guys, you can always zoom into the smaller time frames. okay? And you can play these little breakouts. Okay, there was the breakout. You could have caught that breakout before now the bigger breakout. Right, so VeChain looks good, right? I'm going to go a little bit faster. Render. I see someone has asked for render. Oh, render is just popping here at the moment, okay? Render is popping here at the moment. Luckily, my alarm went off, so I caught render. Right, currently up already 22%. What an epic trade already here to the upside. It's just not in a trading zone for me at the moment. You have to wait for the retracement. Okay, is you do not, legends, I just want to make this very clear. You do not have to FOMO into a trade. Oh, I missed the breakout. Now what? Because render could still reject. Okay, and it creates that little bullish pennant, and then it finds upwards momentum, and it gives you another opportunity to get back in. What render could also do is if you go here onto, let's go onto the 1 hour time frame. Now you look at this little structure that's forming over here. Okay, you have your momentum to the upside, right? As soon as it loses this trend, it's most probably going to start correcting. Then you take your trend from the low, or your trend-based FIP from the low to wherever it's going to make that high. Okay, and then load up zones, okay, where you need to pay attention is 382 is at support. Okay, that's a bouncing zone. That's a bouncing zone. So if render, okay, that's a bouncing zone. That's where I'm interested. Stop goes below the low. So there's still other opportunities to get back in. There was also a break of trend. There was also a very steep break of trend, but there was a break of trend. There was a break of trend. I mean, you guys can see, you can just continuously play the breakouts, play the breakout, play the breakout. This is where the D-line strategy that I often speak about becomes very interesting, especially if you have nice momentum back to the upside. Okay, but render, let's go and look at the daily time frame here quickly. Right, just want to take the FIB out. Render is, I would argue, render is the king or the queen, okay, of AI. And it looks like it's currently starting to find strength. I just want to go and find that pivot, okay. Well, I mean, render is incredibly bullish, right? It has so much breathing room. If you take a FIB from the low to the high, it has now tapped a major FIB level for the first time, where it's finding support. Can you see how far render can still fall and still form a bullish structure? Okay. But it's now tapped to 0.382. It has a chance to find support here and move to higher levels again. Okay. The momentum is very strong to the upside. It's still creating higher highs. This is now the first lower high that it created over here. Lower low, but it's finding support. I mean, yes, you still have the 50%. Okay, you still have the 50%, which are, you know, which is like I'm saying, guys, it looks like it still needs one more low, but we might not get that low. You have very strong support over here. Very strong support. Okay. Right. Something that I wanted to say about render is that I think that there are altcoins that still has better upwards potential, because render already had such a run to the upside where it claimed the all-time high. Okay, yes, you could still get this, but this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's done and it starts falling to the downside and corrects this entire structure, where some of the altcoins, okay, have not completed their third wave just as yet. So I do have a spot bag of render, okay, but I think there are altcoins that looks better for upwards momentum potential. Right, so from a regular perspective, you've basically tapped the maximum target. This is what looks interesting, okay? So if you take a FIB from the low to the high on the regular scale, you have tapped the maximum bullish target. So however you want to count this in a 5-wave structure to the upside, if this is a WXY here to the downside, and you're now expecting another explosive move back to the upside, this is where it has to find support. Okay. So that's basically what I see on render CRV. Okay, CRV from an Elliot Wave perspective does not look sexy. But, okay, what I do like about CRV is that it has already broken market structure. It has formed a higher high. This is why I've got the arrow. Now, it has formed a higher low. It's breaking market structure. So there's a good chance that it's going to continue here to the upside and make another higher high. Maybe come down, make another higher low, and continue momentum to the upside. Okay, so CRV looks great. On the smaller time frame, I think you've missed it. Okay, but the bigger trend has not broken out yet. So let's make this 2 times. Okay, nice and thick. Right, so this was the breakout that I was watching on CRV. On the smaller time frames, there was another breakout. It formed that little bullish pennant. Now it's just ripping here to the upside. So this is another zone to pay attention to, or perhaps we get a little bit of a retracement and then continuation, and you can have a trend, play the breakout. Okay, I'm not sure if anyone has CRV in their spot bags. Okay, but it looks, you know, I do like the market structure change. I love this. And I like this so far. Okay. Really, really good. I just want to see something from a FIP perspective. If you take a FIP from the low to the high, I'm more specifically interested in the log scale. Okay, you bounced in the golden pocket. Beautiful. When you take a FIP from the low to the high, golden pocket, beautiful bounce. Okay, beautiful bounce. But this is also one of those, you know, CRV, it looks like, you know, come and retest the trend and then find continuation back to the upside. 786. So it has the potential for one more low. Right, but it could be that front running scenario over here where the low is in, you bounced on the golden pocket, which we all know is a very well respected Fibonacci level, 0.618 to 0.66, and now it's getting upwards momentum. Right. I know I want to say let's go through some comments, but I know you guys just have altcoin requests. Okay, so I just want to finish up the ones that I'm looking at. ICP looks really, really good. Okay, ICP looks really good. It's just started to break out for me. ICP is still inside of accumulation zone. That to me is where I'm very interested in ICP. Okay, let's make this a different color. This is the zone where you want to, I know it's already broken out, but it's just stuck its neck out. Okay, so for me this is a very interesting zone. You might also say, well, Dewald, you tapped the 0.88, which increases the probabilities of taking the low. Well, on the log scale it looks sexy as hell. Okay, that's all I can say. On the log scale it looks sexy as hell. And also what I see here is a WXY corrective structure. All the FIP levels balances out. I checked everything out. And okay, let's go here to the logarithmic scale. Guys, the trend lines will not make sense when I switch scales because you have to readjust your trends depending on which scale you're using. Okay. I know Andy's also very bullish on ICP, but ICP, okay, from a corrective, let's just focus on, I've got so many levels. I just want to switch, I just want to clean up the chart ever so slightly. But anyways, when I focus on, just to show you guys what I spent some time, the one thing I want to highlight, guys, is it takes time to properly analyze, okay, an altcoin. It's not reliable analysis for me jumping into an altcoin and just doing a 5-minute spiel and then saying this looks good and carry on. You know, sometimes you need to, and that's why I like to nitpick the altcoins that I'm getting into, because it takes time to analyze it. It takes time to go and count the structures. I can tell you guys now, I've spent a good amount of time on ICP this morning counting all the waves to the downside. Can this be a W? Yes, I can count an ABC. Okay, you have an A triangle in a B, okay, and then you have a C wave here to the downside in a 5-wave structure. So it balances. You have an ABC that forms your W here to the downside. I counted the X wave structures, it balances. Okay, I'm not going to go through detail. This Y wave also looks very interesting because I can count an A, B that ended over there, and now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which ended at the 1.618, which is the maximum corrective structure target. Beautiful. Okay, so it balances. I moved that FIB. So if I now zoom into this structure, I just want to take that trend out the way. Okay, so now the 1.618 that I have over here, the 1.618 is basically a corrective structure from the high to the low to the high. You have the 1.618, which is usually considered a maximum corrective structure target. That's where we found support. That's where ICP found support. Okay, but I have seen the 2 extension also get hit with a corrective structure target, and this is why I'm saying it has the potential for one more low, but the low could be in. You have tapped the 1.618. Okay, and it is currently nibbling and breaking out from trend. So it has a chance for momentum here to the upside. And I think what's interesting about ICP is I can count 1, 2, 3, which makes sense. You have the most amount of volume in your 3rd wave, 4, 5. So there's a chance that the corrective structure is done. Okay, ICP looks really great. Okay, I did add some ICP yesterday to my spot bags. Guys, no financial advice. Just remember, there is the potential to do this and then find upwards momentum. I'm very well aware and I will add more. Okay, I have dry powder on the side. If Bitcoin is still going to go and create another lower low, like the WXY structure that I've taken everyone through, there is the potential that it can drag the altcoins down to go and create one more low. Right, but this is the zone where I'm interested in because I do realize the bullish signs. You've tapped the 1.618, you are at the golden pocket, you are breaking trend on the regular scale. The bullish signs are there and I'm interested as a technical trader. Okay, and also looking at most of these altcoins that I'm taking you guys through now is that even if they make one more low, it's still bullish. The bullish structure is still intact. Okay, I would actually like that 1.236 to be tapped. Right, okay, the FIB levels do jump around depending on which scale I use to analyze, but I love to use the lock and the regular scale, especially if I look at altcoins on the daily time frame. Okay, cool. That is basically ICP. Litecoin, a sleeping dinosaur. Guys, whoa, ladies and gentlemen, let me show you something on Litecoin. I did say yesterday during my live stream, I'm going to talk about Litecoin today. There's something very interesting about Litecoin. And remember, if you'd like to come and trade all of these coins, I've got weeks with that 50% cash back, okay, on the money that you deposit in your features account. They also have a competition that's going to start in 3 days from now. You use this link to register for the competition. It will automatically put you into our Bitcoin Census team, and we will trade together to grab our share of up to your $800,000. And then remember, I also have Bluffin and Phoenix. Right, every single altcoin that you can think about will be available between these 3 exchanges. I can guarantee you guys that. Right, and these are the 3 exchanges where you only need an email and a password. If you don't want to give any documentation, you want to start features trading. Okay, right. Can you look at Caspar? Hi folks, Elizabeth, welcome to the live stream. Could you look at Doge? Yes, Doge is on the list. Say, what do you think for future small, long, perpetual? Say, I think I do have. Say's on the list. It's coming. Say's on the list. Okay, I can tell you guys now, you're thinking about an altcoin, it's probably on the list. Shiba Inu, Solana, Sushi, EGLD, Say, XRP, Doge, Rune, Link, Uni, you name it. I've got them all here, right? I've got them all. So I'm purposefully going through my list because I know that I'm going to cover your altcoin at some stage. I'm going to see how far I can get, okay, with all of the altcoins that I have over here. And right, and then tomorrow we'll carry on. Okay, I see someone disliked the live stream. I always have one person that gives me a unlike, not so happy like here on the live stream. I'm not sure why. Anyways, doesn't matter. Most of you are liking the live stream, so let's carry on. Okay, Litecoin, legends. The reason I am so interested in Litecoin, and you might be asking yourself, Dewald, it's a dinosaur coin. Litecoin has not done anything the last couple of years. Well, it is inside of the same structure as XRP. XRP did exactly the same thing. XRP also formed an A, B, C, D, E multi-year bull flag, a multi-year bull flag, where it has completed its third wave and XRP is now over here. Okay, it has formed the same multi-year corrective structure, and it looks like if Litecoin is going to pop out here, it's going to accelerate like XRP has done. Okay, when you see a bull flag and when you see higher lows over multiple years, I mean, let me show you guys. Exactly the same thing on XRP, and look at where XRP is at the moment. Okay, let me go here to the 3-day chart on XRP and show you it's exactly the same. Okay, let me also go to the log scale and show you guys. Look at what happened to XRP. Okay, exactly the same. I can take these Fibonacci's and stuff out the way. Let's clean up the chart. Right, so you have your bull flaggy. Okay, you have your bull flag, right? Everyone see that? And sorry guys, this is actually a token that I spoke about before all of this happened. Yet to the upside, I spoke about the scenario. A, B, C, D, E. We've been inside of this consolidation from 2017. Multi-year bull flag. And we broke out, and look at where XRP is. Look at Litecoin. Ooh, something looks good. Something is boiling. I don't know if it's going to get insane bullish news. I don't know if some institutions around the world, BlackRock, Mr. Trump, I don't know. It looks like good news for Litecoin is around the corner because everyone lost interest in XRP. Everyone lost interest. I even sold my spot bags. Luckily, I got back in on the 5th of August because I saw the structure and I was like, oh shit, I need to get back in. Okay, Litecoin looks exactly the same. So if it's going to pop, I think it's going to pop aggressively here to the upside. Right, so it is still in a nice little zone, but the one thing I do want to highlight, legends, I am not sure, this is the only thing that I'm not sure about because both counts are valid. Okay, where you formed an A, B, C, D, E, I have a clear invalidation. The invalidation is valid. Okay, your E is not allowed to take your C. It's not allowed to because then you invalidate this entire structure. Okay, this is exactly what I feel like I'm repeating what I said on XRP before it broke out. Okay, there's your invalidation, aka stop loss. Okay, from an investment perspective, the only thing that I'm not sure about, legends, is because both counts count perfectly. Okay, I don't know if this is D and we still need to make a E, another E. So it's either, that's what I'm saying, one more low. It's either going to make one more low, maybe have a fake out, and then it breaks out. Okay, or E is in. And it's going to pop out here. It's now building the first 1, 2, and it's going to pop out here in a third wave. So there is the potential for one more low, but I don't know if we're going to get it. But the invalidation is C. That is your C. Because if you are inside of an A, B, C, D, E, E is not allowed to take C. D is not allowed to take B. But now your D and your E is potentially complete, so now it's allowed to break out. So something is brewing here with Litecoin. Okay, so I have added some Litecoin to my spot bags. I didn't have Litecoin, but now I have added some Litecoin to my spot bags. I'm starting to accumulate ever so slightly because of what happened on XRP. It's the same structure. Okay, where this was 3. The triangle in an A, B, C, D, E is your 4th wave. Fourth waves loves triangles. Okay, and then it broke out, and now it's going up for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go and complete its 5th wave. Okay, so XRP still has some momentum. It can still grind here to the upside for the next couple of years, right? But there will be bear markets along the way. And that is now potentially what I'm seeing here on Litecoin. So Litecoin, guys, pay attention. Litecoin looks good, right? The old dinosaur coin looks good for some reason. Remember to smash up that like button for the education. And if you're not already subscribed, okay, make sure that you hit that sub button. Link. Oh, I mean, Link looks wonderful, right? I just want to see here on the regular scale, is it breaking out? Oh, I mean, Link. I mean, I think we all know about this breakout because we've been tracking it together. Link has broken out. It actually formed that bullish pennant that I spoke about. Okay, guys, I see this so often. Look at this. It breaks out from a major trend. Okay, that's your major trend. And guess what it does? It forms a bullish pennant. I love to see this. When I see this and I miss the breakout and it does this, ooh, this is where I get very, very interested. And now it popped out. Okay, and it looks like it wants to continue to the upside. Right. From a larger time frame perspective, okay, if I go here onto the daily time frame, what looks great from Link here at the moment, just want to make sure that I got this FIP right. I must have moved it. Let me lock it so I don't move it again. Right. Just looking at this structure, over here, it has tapped the maximum bullish target. So this could be a 1, 2, and it's now building up an explosive wave here to the upside. Okay. It's breaking out of the trend. It formed a bullish pennant. Does it have the potential for one more low? Yes, it does. Let's look at it from a different perspective. Okay, it found support at the golden pocket. So it still has potential to tap the 786 at $10.8. And then the structure is still valid. 1, 2, 3. Or it's already found the low and is now going to consolidate maybe sideways and start finding some upwards momentum. But this is the zone where I'm very interested in Link. Okay. So now when I bring the previous structure into the equation, now this is where it looks a hell of a lot better, even still, because now it looks like it's forming, okay, a 1, 2, 1, 2, okay, and you guys don't understand, when you have a double 1, 2, it makes the third wave more explosive. It sends it to higher levels because it's building up momentum, okay. So Link, until invalidated, the invalidation for the scenario is taking the low at $8.15. Okay, so until it's over, it's not over. Right, so one more low, you're looking at $10. Or it's going to continue finding some strength here to the upside. But I can tell you guys now, if it continues and it starts breaking local market structure. Okay, let's go back onto the regular scale. I just want to check something. Just want to look at, yeah, once it claims this high, okay, if Link can claim this high properly, so what I want to see is, I want to see this very, very, very interesting area once it's done this, okay, you expect a higher low for continuation to the upside, but you want to see Link start breaking some local market structure with this downtrend. Okay, that will be your first bullish sign. Obviously, when you take these highs, it might be too late to get in then, right? If you start taking these highs, but I mean, this is the high that needs to be broken first, this little high over here. But Link structurally looks amazing, okay? And Link and Doge looks exactly from a technical perspective, they are exactly the same. So I'm not even going to spend a lot of time on Doge, but if I show you guys Doge here, for example, look, exactly the same. 1, 2, 1, 2, and it looks like it wants to rock and roll here to the upside, okay? Just looks great. Looks absolutely fantastic. If you put Doge on the lock scale, you'll see exactly the same as Link. It actually looks better than Link even. 1, 2, 1, 2, and it looks like it wants to explode in a third wave. The invalidation is 0.8 cents. It is now bounced at the retracement target. When I go A, B, C here to the downside, it is tapped the 1.618. Okay, can you guys see this? It has tapped the 1.618 and the 0.618 from a retracement perspective. This is where it found support. So there's a chance that the low could be in for Doge. Okay, one more low would be hitting the 2 extension and the 786. So, and the reason I keep on highlighting the one more low, legends, there's definitely a chance that price has, for all of these altcoins, the low is in. There's a chance that the low is in and it's going to either start consolidating sideways and start getting some upwards momentum, or it's just going to start rock and rolling to the upside. But there is always the potential for one more low that still keeps the bullish structures intact. Because even if Doge comes down here, just like Link, and it taps the 786, the bullish structure is still intact for a 1212. Still intact. Okay, and I'm keeping that one more low of Bitcoin in mind. If Bitcoin's going to make one more low, maybe that's the one more low that we're going to see on the altcoins. But that spanner, that little spanner in the works that I just want to highlight is that there's always a scenario, okay, where the alts now starts popping here to the upside. It starts popping, breaks structure, okay? Bitcoin goes down for one more low, and the altcoins make a higher low, and then they continue to the upside. So very interesting pivot over there. But it's the place where I'm interested. Of course, guys, as always, and I just have to stress this, no financial advice. I'm just sharing with you what I am looking at the moment. Okay. Right. Do you trust Monday price action, Ace? No, not really. I like Thursday price action. Thursdays for me are usually the best days to trade, because Thursdays usually shows me what Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is going to do. Okay. And usually you get the reversal on Thursday, or you get the true intention of the market makers on a Thursday. It's never guaranteed, but Thursdays are mostly my best trading days. Also, from my trading journal, on Thursdays I make the most profit. That's where I trade at my best, is on Thursdays. Right, what is Bitcoin doing, by the way? It's still grinding here to the upside, okay? If you guys would like technical analysis on Bitcoin, I've already gone through all the levels in the beginning of the live stream. So just rewind. I've done Bitcoin technical analysis in the beginning. I'm now just, running through some alts. Ladies and gentlemen, AR, I'm getting there. Something else, with altcoin season, there is another chart that we need to pay attention to. This little bad boy. I spent some time this morning to go and count the structure to the upside. Okay. So let me first highlight the bearish case scenario. If I go to the 12-hour time frame, okay, and we keep it simple, you have a trend from running up. Okay, you have this trend running up. As long as Bitcoin is holding this momentum to the upside, it's bad for altcoins. Okay, you can see with this little dump that we had now here to the downside, we got some altcoins breaking trend at the moment. Okay, so there's a chance that this high is protected. Okay, and maybe it's gonna try one more time and it's gonna break down. The most interesting area over here is the 50% Fibonacci. So there's a rule in trading that says you go to the weekly time frame, okay, and you look at this candle. You take a fib from the high to the low of this week and you get this. It is often, okay, in more cases than not, often what happens is price comes back to the 50% Fibonacci. I'm just measuring the wick, okay, and then it breaks down. Right, so there's a chance that the high is still protected. In the bearish case scenario, if I go back here onto the 12-hour time frame, okay, there is this scenario that's still on the cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If dominance can reject, even maybe the high is even in over here and it's going to break the trend, but it needs to break the trend and it needs to claim this low. It needs to start changing market structure to the downside. So what you would like to see from dominance is it needs to break, lose the low, and then, you know, you always get a retracement. It comes back to the scene of the crime and it continues momentum to the downside. And it invalidates the 5-wave structure. Okay, now the interesting thing that I want to show everyone is that let's take this out, delete the trend, take away the fib, and I've done some counts this morning. And the best count that I could find is that if the top is in, this is the structural count that I'm looking at. Here we go. So I must admit, technical analysis on dominance, USDT dominance, tracking charts that you cannot trade, but it shows you where money flows. So it's basically an indicator. USDT dominance and Bitcoin dominance is basically an indicator. It shows you where money is flowing. Okay, is the love with Bitcoin or is the love with altcoins? So what is really interesting about the Bitcoin dominance chart is that I can count a 1, 2, 3, 4 in a triangle. Do you guys see? Okay, just something to point out. Do you see this fourth wave? A, B, C, D, E. After you make a third wave, these fourth waves love triangles. Do you see Litecoin? I just want to quickly highlight this again. Okay, I don't want anyone in this live stream to tell me that I did not show them Litecoin once it pops. Okay, look at this. It happens on the macro time frame as well. Okay, look at this. You have a third wave here to the upside, and then you have an A, B, C, D, E in a fourth wave. XRP, exactly the same thing. XRP is here. Litecoin hasn't broken out yet. Okay, so if I had to choose, I would rather buy Litecoin than XRP, because Litecoin still needs to do what XRP has already done. Okay, but anyways, it's just interesting to notice the triangles inside of the fourth wave. I see them everywhere. So now, okay, basically you have formed a completed 5-wave structure for the dominance here to the upside. And this little dumpy dump here to the downside was potentially the A wave. Now we have gone back up for a B flat that took the high. And very interesting, the B flat targets, okay, is in the box where dominance got the rejection. The legends, the pro members, and for those of you that's been following me for a while, you know exactly how to measure this B flat target box. Okay, you take a fib, a trend-based fib, from the top of 5 to the bottom of A. You drag it across, and guess what? Dominance got the rejection beautifully inside the flat box, B flat box. So now, what is potentially building up here, okay, is a larger C wave to the downside. Okay, so what I am now looking at is to say that, well, if A is complete and B flat is complete, okay, we are now potentially forming a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go and complete a C wave. So this is potentially the altcoin season that is around the corner. The question is, how high is the second wave going to go? Like I said, that 50% Fibonacci is potentially where it's going to reject. Potentially. Okay. But I can successfully count a completed 5-wave structure to the upside, and this is potentially now part of the corrective structure, and then it can continue. Okay, because after a 5-wave structure, you usually get that 3-wave corrective structure, and it continues momentum to the upside. Right, but I mean, this could be epic. This could be absolutely epic. Yes, there's a chance that dominance can just collapse. Okay, I'm just, from an Elliot Wave perspective, I'm being very conservative to say that, well, the B target rejected in the box where it was supposed to reject. And if you have a B flat, you have a very high chance, okay, that your C is going to claim the A. Because B claimed the high, and then C needs to claim the low. Right, and then when you take a fib from the low to the high, okay, you have the 382, okay, which is basically in alignment with the A, and then the next fib level is the 50%. But I would like the C wave to tap at least the 50% Fibonacci so that you have a proper flat. You have a B flat, a C flat, and then it continues. So something to point out from a dominance perspective is that, okay, let me know what you think in the comments. Right. Awesome value. Yeah, as always. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let me go through some comments and then I'll continue with the altcoins. Finally, Dewald does an Elliot Wave for BTC dominance. I've been watching that potential B flat for a while since Jan. Yes. Okay. Yes. I spent some time this morning because I have the bullish case scenario where, you know, guys, and this is the unfortunate thing is that, dominance can continue here to the upside and continue here to the upside, and then, you know, I'm just going to have to go and recount it to accommodate these structures as well. But based on the data that I have now, based on this data, this is the best way that I can count it. Okay, but I like the wick. I really like that wick. Once that wick formed, ID Dark Striker. Okay, I've said this many times as well, and you will remember, once this wick formed, I said there's a chance that this is the high. It's a bearish wick. It's a sign of a reversal. Okay, so it could now be forming that C wave here to the downside. And remember, C waves has to be 5-wave structures. So they are quite impulsive to the downside. Okay, let's carry on. Litecoin, okay, I've gone through Link. I've gone Rune. I discussed yesterday in quite some length. Okay, Rune, and I know some people are like, why on earth are you talking about Rune? Dewald, are you smoking your socks? No, because, okay, the low is still protected. It has a chance. You need bearish news, okay, to drive a coin to the downside. You need some bad news, and Rune had some FUD, and I think that's why a lot of people are scared of Rune at the moment, because it had a lot of FUD. But from a technical perspective, I love where Rune is at the moment. Okay, so let's zoom into this little structure. Guys, please don't ignore the trend lines, because the trend lines are all funky wonky when I use the logarithmic scale. But from a corrective structure perspective, if this is a corrective 3-wave structure, you have tapped the 1.236. This is where it's finding support at the moment. Okay. Yes, you could argue, but it tapped to 0.88. In Elliot Wave theory, this is your invalidation. This is just probability. Because you've tapped to 0.88, you increase the probability of taking the low, but it's not an invalidation. So perhaps Rune has a chance to the upside. It's on the regular scale that it actually looks very interesting, because I have been keeping my eyes peeled on Rune. Okay. So on the regular scale, just want to put that for back. If you start zooming in here on the daily time frame, this is where it looks interesting, because I remember saying this time and time again, and I felt like I've exhausted myself saying this, is that I'm waiting for this trend. And I'm waiting for this trend. Okay, and once price breaks the trend and it goes sideways, that's where I'm going to get interested. So now I got my wish. Okay, and I have to put my money where my mouth is. Okay, I got my wish because we broke this trend and I didn't do anything. I was like, okay, that looks interesting. I want to see some strength now. And then Rune grinded against the major trend over here and it broke out. And I said, I'm still not convinced because I'm aware of the FUD on Rune. Okay, so I'm seeing the strength and I'm seeing the strength. But now it has gone sideways for very, very long. After the drop, it's now going sideways. This is a sign of strength. Okay, so I then tracked this little trend. I was like, okay, well, I want to get in. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, but I have a clear invalidation. Okay, my stop is below the low, and I played that breakout. And I also added a little bit more inside of this zone. So I'm building up a new fresh spot bag. It's not a swing trade. It's not a leverage trade. It is a spot bag. Okay, I like this. I've got a tick, a tick, and a tick. And a tick for the long consolidation. So it's ticking my bullish boxes. So this is where I'm starting to build up a position on Rune again, regardless of the FUD. Because technically, it's at the lowest point it can literally go to. It's literally at the lowest point. Okay, and it's usually when coins are at their lowest points where people are too scared to buy them. Okay, right, but I have to make it very clear that I have an invalidation, very tight invalidation on Rune. Okay, because I'm aware of the FUD and I'm not sure, what's going to happen in the future, but technically it looks great. Right, and perhaps news will come out to support the greatness of the technicals. Okay, whew, I feel like I have gone through 1,000 altcoins and I've only gone through like 10 of. Anyways, right? Did we tap on Say? Did we touch Say? Oh, let's quickly look at Say. Say is still in accumulation zone. Okay, let me quickly do the box. I am very interested in Say inside of this zone. Okay, so I started adding Say back into my portfolio after I got stopped out from my swing trade, and it is breaking out at the moment. Okay, where I have the box, it is breaking out. Just want to make that ever so slightly lighter. Okay, let's make it 10%. Just want to see something here. Don't like that trend. Okay, cool. So I just want to see from a bullish perspective, from a structural perspective. Okay, so Mr. Say, I'm giving Mr. Say the benefit of the doubt because you have the low over here, okay? And now you have the low over here that is finding support at the 786. Let's just, in the golden pocket, okay? And also the 786 FIP retracement. It's finding support in the golden in the golden zone, the golden zone, okay? That is your golden zone. This is your golden pocket. Let me just put a new FIP because this one still has my old settings. Okay, there's the golden pocket, but it's in the golden zone at the moment. It is breaking trend. My alarm went off. It still has a higher low compared to this low. So I'm giving Say the benefit of the doubt considering how bullish its partner looks, Sui. Okay, because they linked. Sui and Say part of the same ecosystem. So because Sui looks very bullish, I'm giving the little sister the benefit of the doubt because I still see a higher low. This looks like a WXY. When you take a trend-based FIP from the high to the low to the high. Let's reverse that. Okay, that's the 786 that I was referring to. It is a target for a corrective structure. Where's my pen? 786. Okay. The one more low situation is here by the 1-to-1 extension and the 0.88. So it has the chance for one more low, 1-to-1 extension in perfect alignment with the 0.88. Okay, so to keep it simple and to clean up the chart, basically, okay, it's either the low is in on say, the low is in, or it's still going to tap either the 786 or the 0.88. But this is still a zone where I'll be very interested in without claiming the low. That's my invalidation. Okay. And then from a regular perspective, oops. Let me just undo here. Just now I changed sometimes. Okay, let's go. From a regular perspective, I mean, trend is... I just want to see if the trend is not better on the log scale. Let's see. Sometimes you need to play around with the trends, okay? So let's do this. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so on the log scale, adjust your trend, set your alarm. You could still catch the breakout. Okay, you could still... this is a strategy that I often use, that if on the regular scale, the breakout already took place, or the breakout already took place, and on the log scale, the breakout has not taken place, okay? That's where I'm going to pay attention. It's either going to reject or it's going to break out successfully, maybe forms that bullish pennant, and I will play the breakout over there or add to my position, however you want to trade this. Okay, crazy how auction went from 7 back on Feb, then to 67 just a few days ago, almost 10x. I remember attempting a short back, then 21 because 7 invalid. Yeah, actually, auction a rug. Isn't auction a meme coin? Right, Dewald, can you check auction? Can you check back to BTC, please? Carbell, let's go and have a BTC. Okay, it's still exactly where I've analyzed it. Right, I'm not sure if you guys watched the beginning of the live stream, but I've done full technical analysis here on Bitcoin. The levels that I'm watching, okay, just a quick recap. Let me just switch off everything here, clean up the chart. Okay, from a simplicity perspective, the first area that we need to pay attention to those two zones for rejection. Because if you reject here, and if you reject here, you have to consider that you're still making lower highs. And this will be considered a double top. Okay, double top. Or you reject here, you're still making lower highs. And there's a chance, okay, I will definitely take profits by support, but there's a chance that you could still make a lower low. There's a chance because the structure is still down. Structure is still down. Okay. It is the local structure that is showing strength at the moment, but it can still reject over here. So the first area that I'm paying attention to, and I have my alarms already set, you can see I have my alarm set at both these areas just below so that I can pay attention before it hits the level, okay, is the 0.382. I've done detailed technical analysis during the beginning of the live stream why there is so much confluence at that level. Okay, and if this level shows strength to the upside, then I'm interested in this box. Okay, cool. Legends, I have unfortunately run out of time. Okay, there's so many altcoins, and you guys can see that I try and spend a lot of time on each and every single altcoin. There's some that I have analyzed that I don't have time to go through. There are some that you've been requesting here inside of the comment section. I do apologize. Auction, AR, I know that there are many more. I will go through more altcoins every single day, okay? And we can go and have a look at it, and you can see, I mean, I have a crazy list over here, okay? I have a crazy list full of altcoins, right? So it's just difficult to do proper technical analysis and in a short amount of time, right? Why is Layers down 14%? There must be some bad news on Layer. Everything's up except for Layer AI. Damn. Damn. I do have a spot bag of Layer AI. I haven't sold it yet. Okay. But I mean, everything looks pretty green here on the market today. AVAX is up 10%, Render up 12%. We have some double digits, Brett 12%, meme coin. Ooh, I do have a spot bag of Brett. I only have Doge and Brett, okay, from a spot bag perspective, but more so Doge. I have a big bag of Doge. Right. Cool, legends. Have yourselves an amazing day. Smash up that like button. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. The exchanges that I use for all of my trading, links down in the description, where I organize you the best deals, sign-up bonuses, lowest trading fees. Also your ways to support the channel. Femix, Weeks, and Bluffin. You only need an email and a password to sign up. Have yourselves an amazing day. Until the next one, cheers for now.